Maya Carter's hands trembled as she fumbled with her keys in the dim parking lot behind Hollis Grill. The night air bit at her skin, carrying the smell of grease and garbage from the dumpsters that lined the alley. Her feet screamed in protest after another double shift, the kind that left bruises on her heels and made every step feel like walking on broken glass. She was 27 years old and felt 60. The crying started just as she reached her car. At first, she thought it was a cat. The sound was high and desperate, echoing off the brick walls of the closed pharmacy across the street. Maya paused, key halfway to the lock, and listened. No, not a cat. A child. Please, no, she whispered to herself, pressing her forehead against the cold metal of her car door. She had $40 left until Friday. Her electricity bill was overdue. The last thing she needed was to get involved in someone else's crisis. But the crying continued, broken and terrified, and Maya felt something inside her chest crack open. She found him tucked between a dumpster and a stack of collapsed cardboard boxes, small and shaking in the darkness. He couldn't have been older than 6, with black hair that fell into his eyes and a toy car clutched so tightly in his hands that his knuckles had gone white. When her shadow fell across him, he flinched violently, pressing himself harder against the wall. "Hey," Maya said softly, crouching down to his level. Her knees protested. "Hey, sweetheart, are you okay?" The boy stared at her with eyes too old for his face. "Don't call them," he said. His voice was hoarse from crying. "Please don't call them." "Call who?" "The police. They'll take me back, and he'll be angry again." Maya's stomach tightened. She recognized that fear. She'd worn it herself once, a lifetime ago. "I'm not calling anyone yet," she said. "But you can't stay here. It's not safe. Where are your parents?" "My mom is gone." The words came out flat, practiced. "My dad doesn't know I left." "What's your name?" "Eli." He looked down at the toy car in his hands. "Eli Kwan." The name meant nothing to Maya. She glanced around the empty alley, weighing her options. Every instinct screamed at her to walk away, to call social services and let them handle it. But Eli was looking at her now, with something like hope, breaking through his terror, and Maya knew she was already lost. "Are you hungry?" she asked. Eli nodded. "Come on then. There's a diner 2 blocks from here. We'll get you something to eat and figure this out." The boy hesitated for a long moment before slowly uncurling himself from his hiding place. He was wearing expensive clothes, Maya noticed. Dark jeans without a single worn spot, sneakers that probably cost more than her rent. But they were dirty now, streaked with grime from the alley. They walked to the 24-hour diner in silence. Eli kept his distance, always staying just out of reach, like a stray dog that wanted food, but didn't trust hands. Maya ordered him pancakes and scrambled eggs, and watched him devour them with the single-minded focus of genuine hunger. "When did you last eat?" she asked. "Breakfast. Mrs. Chen made oatmeal, but I didn't like it. So I only had a little." "Who's Mrs. Chen?" "She cooks for us, and cleans. She's nice, but she's scared of my dad." Maya wrapped her hands around her coffee mug, feeling the warmth seep into her cold fingers. "Why did you run away, Eli?" The boy's fork paused halfway to his mouth. For a moment she thought he wouldn't answer. Then quietly, "I heard him yelling on the phone, about getting rid of problems, about making sure no one found out. And I got scared because sometimes, when people are problems, they disappear." The hair on the back of Maya's neck stood up. "Your dad said that?" "He says lots of things. He doesn't know I listen." Eli put down his fork and looked at her directly. "Will you take me back to the police?" "I don't know yet," Maya said honestly, "but I won't leave you alone. That's a promise." The decision to take him home was insane. Maya knew it even as she buckled him into the passenger seat of her ancient Honda Civic, even as she drove through the empty streets toward her cramped studio apartment in the cheapest part of Riverside City. She should have called someone, anyone. But Eli's terror at the mention of police had been too real, and Maya had learned long ago that sometimes the systems meant to protect children failed spectacularly. Her apartment was a single room with a kitchenette, a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in, and a mattress on the floor that she'd bought used 3 years ago. Eli looked around with wide eyes, taking in the water stains on the ceiling and the space heater in the corner that only worked on its highest setting. "You can sleep on the bed," Maya said, pulling out the spare blanket from her closet. "I'll take the floor." "You don't have to do that." "I'm not letting a 6-year-old sleep on the floor." "I'm almost 7. Eli sat down on the edge of the mattress, still clutching his toy car. "My birthday is in 23 days. Maya smiled despite herself. "Almost 7 then. Do you want to tell me about your house, so I can take you back in the morning?" The boy's face shuddered. "It's big, really big, with gates and guards." "Guards? Men with guns. They walk around at night. Dad says they keep us safe, but I think they keep us in." Maya's unease deepened into genuine fear. What kind of family had armed guards? "What does your dad do, Eli?" "Business." The word came out automatic, rehearsed. "He does business with important people. He's always in meetings or on the phone. He gets angry a lot since Mom died." "I'm sorry about your mom." Eli shrugged, but his eyes were bright with unshed tears. "She was nice. She used to read to me every night. Now nobody does." Maya sat down beside him on the mattress, keeping a respectful distance. "What's your favorite story?" "Where the wild things are." "I loved that one when I was your age." They talked for another hour, Maya slowly drawing out details about Eli's life in careful increments. A mansion in North Crest Heights. A father who worked late and came home smelling like cigarettes and anger. A mother who had died in a car accident 8 months ago. Tutors and drivers and housekeepers, but no friends. No birthday parties. No normal childhood at all. When Eli finally fell asleep, still holding his toy car, Maya sat by the window and stared out at the city lights. She didn't know who his father was. If she had, she might have run. The morning came too quickly. Maya woke to find Eli already awake, sitting cross-legged on the mattress and watching her with those 2 old eyes. "Are you taking me home now?" he asked. "If you show me where it is." "Okay." He climbed off the bed and walked to her kitchenette, where he'd apparently helped himself to a box of cereal. "Can we go the long way? I want to see the park." They drove through Riverside City as the sun climbed higher, Eli pressing his face against the window and calling out landmarks. The park, where his mother used to take him. The library she'd loved. The ice cream shop they'd visited every Sunday before the accident. "Turn here," he said suddenly, as they approached the eastern edge of the city. "North Crest Heights is up that hill." Maya's stomach dropped. North Crest Heights wasn't just expensive, it was fortress territory, where tech moguls and old money lived behind walls and security systems that cost more than most people earned in a year. She'd never been inside the gates. The entrance was guarded by 2 men in dark suits. They stiffened as Maya's car approached, hands moving to their hips in a gesture that made her blood run cold. One of them stepped forward, palm raised. Maya rolled down her window. "I'm returning Eli Kwan. He got lost last night." The guard's eyes widened. He pulled out a radio and spoke rapidly in Korean. Within seconds, 3 more men appeared, surrounding the car. One of them opened Eli's door and looked inside. "Young master," he said, relief evident in his voice. "Your father has been looking everywhere." Eli unbuckled his seatbelt but didn't move. "Is he angry?" "Very." The guard glanced at Maya with an expression she couldn't read. "Ma'am, you need to come with us. Mr. Kwan will want to speak with you." "I was just bringing him home," Maya said, fear making her voice tight. "I found him last night, and he was scared, so I waited until morning. Nevertheless, you need to come with us." They drove in convoy up the winding road to a mansion that made Maya's breath catch. It was more compound than house, sprawling across manicured grounds with fountains and gardens, and enough square footage to house 20 families. The gates were steel and 12 feet high. The windows were tinted. Everything about it screamed money and danger in equal measure. Maya was escorted inside with Eli walking, silently beside her, his small hand gripping her sleeve. The interior was even more intimidating than the exterior. Marble floors, modern art that probably cost 6 figures. Furniture that looked too expensive to sit on. And everywhere, men in dark suits, watching with cold eyes. They were led to a study lined with bookshelves and dominated by a massive desk. Behind it sat a man who made Maya's heart stop. Daniel Kwan was young, probably mid-30s, with sharp features and eyes that seemed to see straight through her. He was dressed in a black suit that fit him perfectly, and when he stood, the movement was controlled and predatory. Every man in the room deferred to him automatically. "Eli," he said. His voice was quiet, but it carried. "Come here." The boy ran to his father, and Daniel caught him in an embrace that looked almost desperate. But when he straightened and looked at Maya, his expression had gone cold. "Who are you?" he asked. "Maya Carter. I work at Hollis Grill downtown. I found Eli last night in an alley. He was scared and hungry, so I helped him." "You took my son to your apartment?" It wasn't a question. He was terrified. He begged me not to call the police. I didn't know what else to do. "So you kidnapped him?" "No." Maya's fear crystallized into anger. "I protected him. He was alone in a dangerous neighborhood at night. Where were your guards? Where were you?" The room went deathly silent. One of the men behind her shifted, and Maya realized she might have just made a fatal mistake. But Daniel's expression flickered with something that might have been surprise. "Leave us," he said to his men. "All of you. Take Eli to his room." "Dad," Eli protested. "Now." The word was steel. When they were alone, Daniel circled around his desk and leaned against it, studying Maya. "You have remarkable courage for someone in your position. Most people don't speak to me that way." "Maybe they should," Maya said, though her heart was hammering. Eli was alone and scared. "He's 6 years old. Almost 7, she corrected, remembering his words. "Whatever you're involved in, he's a child caught in the middle of it." "What do you think I'm involved in?" "I don't know. But children don't have armed guards unless their parents are into something dangerous." Daniel's smile was sharp and mirthless. "Perceptive. Tell me, Maya Carter, what do you want?" "Nothing. I just wanted to make sure he got home safe." "People always want something. Money? A job? Information to sell to my enemies?" "I want to go home," Maya said flatly. "I have a shift in 4 hours, and I can't afford to lose it." He studied her for a long moment. Then, to her surprise, he laughed. It was a bitter sound. "You're either very honest or very good at lying. My chief lieutenant will investigate your story. If you're telling the truth, you'll be compensated for your time and trouble. If you're not," he let the threat hang. "I'm telling the truth. We'll see." Maya was questioned for 3 hours by a man named Mr. Park, who had the kind of calm demeanor that made her more nervous than Daniel's cold fury. He asked about every detail of the previous night, cross-referencing her answers against Eli's statement and surveillance footage from around the city. By the time he was satisfied, Maya was exhausted and shaking. "You're free to go," Mr. Park said finally. "A car will take you home." "What about Eli?" "That's not your concern." "I'm making it my concern. Is he safe here?" Mr. Park's expression softened slightly. "Mr. Kwan loves his son. Everything he does is to protect him. But his world is dangerous, Miss Carter. The kindest thing you can do for that boy is forget you met him." But Maya couldn't forget. Over the next week, Eli appeared in her dreams. She saw him crying in that alley, clutching his toy car, wearing fear like a second skin. She thought about the empty mansion and the armed guards and the father who worked too much and came home smelling like anger. She was working the lunch rush when the black car pulled up outside Hollis Grill. Mr. Park stepped out, and Maya's stomach dropped. He waited until her shift ended, then approached her table. "Mr. Kwan wants to see you," he said. "Why?" "Eli has been asking for you. He won't eat, won't sleep. He keeps asking when Miss Maya is coming back." "I'm not coming back. Your boss made it clear I wasn't welcome. Mr. Kwan is reconsidering. He's offering you a job." "What kind of job?" "Companion for Eli. Someone to spend time with him, read to him, take him to the park, be the mother figure he's missing." Maya stared at him. "You want me to work for a crime lord?" Mr. Park didn't deny it. "I want you to help a grieving child. The salary is $50,000 a year plus housing if you want it. You'd work 4 days a week, 8 hours a day. Eli would be supervised at all times, and you'd never be asked to involve yourself in Mr. Kwan's business." "That's insane." "That's generous. Most people don't get second chances in our world, Miss Carter. Eli saw something in you. Mr. Kwan respects that, even if he doesn't understand it." Maya thought about her studio apartment, and her overdue bills, and her feet that ached from standing for 12 hours at a time. She thought about Eli's face when he'd asked if she was taking him to the police. She thought about the crushing weight of barely surviving versus the possibility of actually living. 4 days a week, she said, and I don't want to know anything about his business. Agreed. The next afternoon, Maya walked back through those steel gates into a world that terrified her. Eli was waiting in the foyer, and when he saw her, his entire face lit up. He ran to her and wrapped his arms around her waist, and Maya felt something in her chest crack wide open. "You came back," he said. "I promised I wouldn't leave you alone." Over the following weeks, Maya learned to navigate the strange ecosystem of the Kwan mansion. She learned which guards were friendly and which ones watched her with suspicion. She learned that Mrs. Chen, the housekeeper, had been with the family for 12 years and loved Eli like her own grandson. She learned that Daniel Kwan worked 18-hour days and came home exhausted, that he never raised his voice to his son, but rarely smiled at him either. And she learned that Eli was desperately lonely. They spent hours in the mansion's library, reading every book on the shelves. They played in the massive backyard under the watchful eyes of security. They baked cookies in the industrial kitchen and built elaborate towers with blocks in the empty living room. Eli laughed more, ate better, started sleeping through the night. Daniel watched from a distance, appearing in doorways and hallways like a ghost. Sometimes Maya would feel his eyes on her and look up to find him standing at the top of the stairs, expression unreadable. He never joined them, never interrupted. But he was always there, orbiting his son like a satellite. One evening, 6 weeks into her employment, Daniel knocked on the library door, where Maya was reading to Eli. "It's bedtime," he said. 5 more pages, Eli pleaded. "Now, Eli." The boy's face fell, but he obediently kissed Maya's cheek and left. Daniel lingered in the doorway. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for what you're doing for him. He's a good kid. It's easy. He talks about you constantly. You've made him happy again. I didn't think that was possible." Maya closed the book and stood. He's been grieving. He needed someone to see him, not just protect him. "And what about me?" The question came out raw. "Do you see me too?" Maya met his eyes. In the soft lamplight, Daniel looked younger, tired, more human than monster. "I see a man who loves his son but doesn't know how to show it. I see someone who built walls so high that even his own child can't reach him. Those walls keep him safe. They keep him lonely." Daniel flinched. "You don't understand my world? Then explain it to me." They talked until midnight, sitting in the library, while the house settled into silence around them. Daniel told her about his wife, Grace, who had been killed by a rival's car bomb meant for him. About the empire he'd inherited from his father, and the bloody path he'd walked to keep it. About enemies who circled like sharks, and allies who could turn on a dime. "Eli is my only weakness," he said. "If they knew how much he means to me, they'd use him to destroy me. So you keep him locked away, hidden. But Eli doesn't need a fortress, Daniel. He needs a father. I don't know how to be both. I can keep him safe, or I can be close to him. Not both. That's a coward's choice." Daniel's eyes flashed with anger, but Maya didn't back down. "You're hiding behind your fear," she continued. "You're letting it control you instead of fighting through it. Your wife died, and instead of grieving with your son, you pushed him away. He thinks you blame him. I don't. Then tell him that. Spend time with him. Let him see that his father is more than just a shadow that comes home late and leaves early." The next day, Daniel joined them for breakfast. Eli was so shocked he dropped his spoon. Over the following weeks, Daniel began appearing more. He'd sit in on reading time, quiet and attentive. He'd join them for walks in the garden. Once, he even played trucks with Eli on the living room floor, his expensive suit jacket abandoned on a chair. Maya watched father and son slowly find their way back to each other, and something unexpected began growing in her own chest. She caught herself noticing the way Daniel's face softened when he looked at Eli, the rare smiles that transformed him from terrifying to handsome, the moments of dry humor that appeared when he let his guard down. One afternoon, she found Daniel in the study going through paperwork. He looked up when she entered. "Eli's napping," she said. "I wanted to ask about his birthday. He mentioned it's coming up." 3 weeks. Daniel set down his pen. "Grace always planned elaborate parties. I don't know where to start." "What does Eli want?" "He asked for something small. Just family. But we don't have family left. It's only us." "Then make it special for just the 3 of you. Bake a cake. Play games. Make him feel loved. That's all he really wants." Daniel studied her. "You're part of this now, you know. He considers you family. What about you?" The question slipped out before Maya could stop it. "Do you consider me family?" The air between them changed. Daniel stood slowly and walked around his desk until he was standing directly in front of her. "I consider you dangerous," he said softly. "You make me want things I can't afford to want. You make me hope when hope is a liability. Maybe you need more liabilities then." He reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face, his touch gentle. "If I pursue this, I put you in danger. Everyone I love becomes a target. I'm already here, Daniel. I'm already in your world. The only question is whether you're brave enough to let me stay." They crossed the line that night. Daniel kissed her in the library, gentle and desperate, and Maya felt the last of her defenses crumble. She knew it was reckless, knew she was falling for a man whose business was violence and whose enemies would happily kill her to hurt him. But she'd seen the person beneath the armor, and she couldn't walk away. For 3 months, they existed in a strange bubble of happiness. Daniel slowly stepped back from the most violent aspects of his business. He spent more time at home, more time with Eli. The mansion felt less like a fortress and more like a home. Then Victor Hahn made his move. Maya was reading to Eli in the library when Mr. Park burst through the door. "We need to go, now. What's happening?" Maya stood, pulling Eli close. "Mr. Hahn has made a play. He's coming for the family. We're evacuating to the safe house." The next hours were chaos. Armed men flooded the mansion. Cars appeared in the driveway. Daniel appeared from his office, his face hard and cold again, and Maya saw the crime lord resurface fully. "Take them to the hillside location," he ordered Mr. Park. Then to Maya, "Stay with Eli. Don't let him out of your sight." "Where are you going?" "To end this." "Daniel, no. This isn't a debate." He cupped her face in his hands, his eyes fierce. "I told you everyone I love becomes a target. Hahn thinks he can use you and Eli against me. I'm going to show him what a mistake that is." They were driven to a safe house in the mountains, but the peace didn't last. Hahn's men had followed. Maya heard gunshots in the distance and pulled Eli into a closet, covering his ears as the battle raged outside. The door burst open, and one of Han's enforcers appeared, gun raised. Maya threw herself in front of Eli. The shot never came. Daniel appeared like an avenging angel, moving with brutal efficiency. The enforcer went down. More men poured in. The fight was savage and quick, and when the silence fell, Daniel was standing over 3 bodies, blood on his hands. He looked at Maya and Eli huddled in the closet. "It's over," he said. "Han is dead. His organization is scattered." But the cost was written on his face. That night, after Eli was finally asleep, Daniel sat with Maya on the safe house porch. "I can't do this anymore," he said. "I can't risk you. Either of you." "So what are you saying?" "That I have a choice to make. Keep the Empire and lose my family, or give it up and try to build something real." "You know what I want you to choose. It's not that simple. People depend on me. There's too much blood in the Foundation." Maya took his hand. "Then change the Foundation. You're smart enough, Daniel. Rich enough. You could transition into legitimate business. It won't be easy, but nothing worth having is. And if I do, if I try to walk away and it destroys everything, then we'll face it together. You, me, and Eli, as a family." The change didn't happen overnight. It took 18 months of careful planning, of selling off illegal operations and investing in legal ventures, of cutting ties with dangerous allies and building new networks. There were setbacks, threats, moments when Maya wondered if they'd made a terrible mistake. But slowly, painfully, Daniel Kwan transformed himself from crime lord to businessman. He bought a tech company, invested in real estate, opened community centers in underserved neighborhoods. He would never be completely clean, could never erase the blood he'd spilled, but he could choose differently going forward. And through it all, Maya and Eli were there. They got married in a small ceremony in the mansion garden, with Eli as the ring bearer and Mrs. Chen crying in the front row. Maya moved into the mansion permanently, transforming it from a fortress into a real home. She started a community kitchen downtown with Daniel's funding, providing meals for people like her former self who were barely surviving. Eli flourished. He started at a real school, made friends, played soccer, laughed freely and often. On his 8th birthday, he blew out his candles and wished for nothing because he already had everything he needed. Maya stood in the kitchen of her community center, watching volunteers serve food to a line of tired, hungry people. Daniel appeared beside her, Eli on his shoulders, and wrapped an arm around her waist. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For stopping that night, for not walking away, for believing I could be more than what I was." Maya smiled and kissed him. "I didn't save a crime lord," she said. "I saved a child, and in doing that, I found my family." Eli tugged on his father's hair. "Can we get ice cream?" "Absolutely," Daniel said, "but only if Miss Maya comes too." "Always," Maya said. They walked out into the afternoon sunshine, 3 people who had found each other in the darkness and chosen to build something beautiful together. The road hadn't been easy. The dangers hadn't disappeared completely, but they had something stronger than any fortress or guard. They had each other. And sometimes, Maya thought as Eli grabbed her hand and Daniel smiled down at them both, sometimes kindness didn't get you killed. Sometimes it saved you in ways you never expected. Sometimes it brought you home. If this story moved you, if Maya and Eli's journey touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and join our community. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought about Daniel's transformation from crime lord to family man. And don't forget to like this video to help others discover this story. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more powerful